Okay, everybody, welcome to 17 and a half minutes of the same guy just droning along. Section 29, here we go. This is a big one. First of all, the clamps in between the two spars, we'll call them spars. I got yelled at by someone at Vance for calling them spars. There's a technical term that's much better, but I've already forgotten what that is, so we're going with spars. There's nothing in the plans that says to clamp those two spars together. It just seemed like the right thing to do, or else it put a little bit too much pressure on that bottom skin. You are going to build a wooden jig that is in the plans to rotate it to the side like I did. And that's just match drilling the longeron. There's another wooden jig that you build for that so that you can clamp the bracket into that longeron. A thing to note on these right here as I'm coming up, the Cherry Max rivets that you're going to put in, definitely lubricate those. I had two that I had to very carefully drill out. That's another thing to note real quick. And as you see, my buddy Mike is back to help here. But in talking with Van's technical people, I was told that when you're drilling out a Cherry Max rivet, do not drill it out to the size it is. So if it's a number 30, take a smaller drill bit, 35, 38, something like that, and drill it out, because Cherry Max rivets, while they are more structurally sound than a regular rivet, they're only structurally sound if they are a perfect circle. Once you oblong that circle, you have essentially taken most of the structural I don't know if it's most, but some sort of structural rigidity out of that Cherry Max rivet. So I found that very interesting. So I believe it was a 35 drill bit, and I took a punch and I drilled it 35 to get the tensioner in the middle out of it. And there is a very small spring inside there, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I did that, and then I punched it out just to make sure that hole was still going to be circular. Here, big part, getting the side skins on. It looks like there's two holes in that side skin. There isn't. It's just reflection off the wings. This is a very interesting part. The plan's measurement is a bit wrong on these hinges on the side here. I will link that video now. But definitely, I think it's page 7 of 29. Definitely watch out. There were measurements posted on the Wikipedia page and Van's Air Force. I found that my own measurement worked a lot better for the edge hole distance at the bottom, and that's really all you're caring about, is what is that edge hole distance at the bottom, and do you have enough? Yeah, this section is, it's just massively long. I sped up a lot of things that I would normally have about a 1 to 10 rate on how fast the video is going, and some of these are 1 to 20, 1 to 30, just because this section is massive. It feels like you spend months on it. Didn't help that I also took a trip to where did we go? Belgium, France, and yeah, that was a fun trip, but prolonged the timeline a lot longer too. Belgium, my God, the beers, so good. Also, to note in this section, this is one of those sections where you really need a friend. When I first started building this, the thought process was like, oh, this will be a great time where I just hang out in my garage doing things I want to do, working with my hands like I like to do. Well, nah. Section 29, yes, there's still a lot of that, but there's also a lot of texting your friend, hey, when are you available? Here's the JD Latch. I just threw a quick final putting it together video in here, but for the full video on getting that installed, I will link that now. Um, I put the lock in there. Uh, some people don't want locks on theirs. I get it. I don't want somebody smashing my canopy either. However, I think most people will be deterred by the lock and not smash a canopy. So my buddy Mike answers my text message and comes to my help. Appreciate you, Mike. It's probably a solid, 6 to 8 hours to rivet one side all the way up. Um, this is the start of put a lot of clothing and soft materials in areas, so if the bucking bar accidentally gets dropped, it doesn't leave a impression on the bottom skin. I think there was one area where that still happened, of course. Oh, and I missed bending that longeron is it's a skill in itself to figure out because of course all the plants just say mirror what you're doing with the other one. You want to make darn sure that the bend that you're mirroring on the other side is correct because it is relatively easy to get that backwards in your head. You don't realize how much that fuselage moves on that table until you watch this sped up like this. That's unnerving. I can't really think of other points where I say, oh, this is a gotcha or something like that. As you can see, I elected to paint the area that the wing roughly sits in. Trying to get a cardboard cutout of the nose area from spar to nose of the wing was particularly tough. That was not an easy thing to do so that I could have that primered up too. And then the area where the flap control rod comes out, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of not technical, but just ticky tack type stuff that happens within there that you have to kind of be careful of. That you're not gonna throw a rivet in there where it shouldn't be, as if you shouldn't already be a pro at drilling out rivets by now. This was fun. My son decided that he was ready to rivet, and thanks to the kids part of Oshkosh, he has the confidence to rivet on my aircraft. Oh, one other thing to note, the plans say whenever possible back rivet. I um I don't know. I did not agree with that at all whatsoever. Almost everything on the side skins was riveted in the traditional sense. Um, it just I don't get as consistent tails with back riveting as I prefer. I don't. I'm sure structurally they hold up just as well. It's just not at a point that I prefer. So we traditionally riveted just about everything on the fuselage. And in doing so, I was worried that I was going to get oil canning or some sort of rippling or something. I did not. Now, this is with a 2X gun and a flush mushroom set. Every now and then we would use the mushroom set by Cleveland Tool with the red rubber housing around it. That was just mostly in areas that we couldn't guarantee that we were 90 degrees perpendicular to the skin. So in order to not get any waviness or oil canning, we would throw that on from time to time. But I don't know. Back riveting against a flat bar, I'm fine with. I'm gonna sneeze. Excuse me. But back riveting with the round back riveter that you can buy from many tool companies, Brown, Cleveland, I have not had great success with it. I find more times than not there's a hair width of gap on that rivet or something along those lines, and it just does not look good. So and I don't want rivets sticking up out of the paint either. So if there's even just nothing that you can really even get a fingernail under, but it just doesn't sit quite as flush as a traditionally riveted rivet. So I disregarded the plans in that aspect, and I'm okay with that. It's not wavy. There's no oil canning. So I moved on. This area is one where the angle of aluminum there just above the flap control arm coming out, there's a CS3-3, something along those lines. Trying to get that to sit flush with a squeezer was just about impossible. I am going to buy the crazy expensive pop riveter. It's called a close quarters pop riveter from Aircraft Tool Supply, ATS. Just because I can't get a pop rivet in there without a close quarters squeezer, and that's the only one I can find. Your mileage may vary, but good luck with those two gold little CS pop rivets in there. I found it just about impossible to make that work. This is the seat crossbar that I was working on right there. Nothing fancy in that. I have just very temporarily put on the seat back braces and the braces that go, those black braces up top. My buddy Trent, who's a little bit further ahead than I am on his RV14, has a really great write-up that I'll try to link to. I can't guarantee that I can, but I'll try to link to, or I'll put it in the comments down below, about how he made those black plastic spacers all come out the same, and they give you just enough to where when you screw up 2 or 3 of them, you can redo it. And so I redid it in the way that he wrote it up, and it was perfect. It's what I like about building. You can glean information off each other. Someone comes up with a better way to do something, and you all work together on coming out with the best product. Again, Mike's back. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate you, buddy. Mike's also my flying buddy, so I guess he's got a little bit of a dog in this fight to get this thing done with. And I hope to do a video soon on click bond and the ferry tank plumbing that I'm going to be putting in. But if you're thinking about ferry tanks or anything like that, now is the time. Yeah. Exciting news. My panel is starting to get built. Aerotronics is who I've decided to use. Jason at Aerotronics has been absolutely amazing. There's been like 5 things that I've either missed or wanted to redo on the renderings of the panel, and even though the panel has started to get built, he always comes back with no problem, we'll make changes. Oh, here comes the best part. So tightening up bolts, but that was getting the empennage down out of the rafters. And it is just about time for that empennage to get put onto the fuselage. It's just such a big step. It really starts to look like an aircraft after that. So yeah, couple of little tidbits here and there. Measurements on the front, the JD latch, which I don't know how you could build this and not do a JD latch, in my opinion. Looking at Van's aircraft on display at Oshkosh, the one part that just seems so wimpy is that latch. It has no beef to it. So I'm very happy with that JD air latch. And yeah, that is the conclusion of this section. Thanks for wasting 17 and a half minutes of your life with me. And I'll see you in the next one, which is very short, just fuel system plumbing.